The thunder of rotor blades rolled across the humid Alabama air as the sun climbed over Fort Rucker. It was 2020 now, and the Army Aviation Center had expanded its Apache intake class after global tensions pushed the Army to accelerate pilot selection. Rows of candidates stood on the tarmac in crisp flight suits, trying to look both confident and professional while the twin-engine roar of AH-64E Apaches shook the ground under their boots. Among them was 23-year-old Elena Cruz, a Filipino American from San Diego with a mechanical engineering degree and a reputation for being too blunt for her own good. She stood only 5 feet 2 inches and weighed 115 pounds, so small compared to the towering candidates beside her that some instructors assumed she was a visiting ROTC cadet or an administrative clerk who had wandered into the wrong formation. Her dark hair was braided into a tight bun, and she stared at the Apaches with the intensity of a person who knew exactly what she wanted. Elena had grown up watching her father repair helicopters on Navy ships, knowing every bolt before she even understood what the word torque meant. While other kids played house, she played maintenance crew. While others dreamed of sports, she dreamed of flight. But every recruiter she met told her the same thing: "You're smart enough to design helicopters but not big enough to fly them." She joined anyway. Now, standing on the same flight line where generations of Army aviators earned their wings, she waited for the inevitable skepticism. It came in the form of Chief Warrant Officer Ford Daniel Colburn, a 20-year Apache veteran built like a linebacker and famous for surviving a shoot-down in Iraq. He walked down the row with a tablet, stopping at each candidate to ask questions, his voice gravelly from years of sand, dust, and too much coffee. He stopped in front of Elena, blinked, looked at his tablet, looked at her again. "You're Cruz?" "Yes, sir." He raised an eyebrow so high it nearly disappeared under his helmet visor. "You're applying for Apache?" "Yes, sir." He stared at her as if she had just volunteered to bench press the helicopter behind him. "Cruz, the Apache is not a drone console or a simulator. You will be pulling G-forces that shove your ribs into your spine. You'll be making inputs on controls spaced for pilots twice your size. Your helmet-mounted display will kick back during maneuvers that make grown men puke through oxygen masks. Most people don't pass this course and they're built like pro athletes." His eyes swept down to her boots. "You're not." Elena didn't blink. "Sir, I'm aware of the physical demands." "No, you're not," he said. "You think you are. But I know what this job demands. I've buried pilots who thought they could handle it." His voice softened just enough to suggest he meant the warning sincerely. "Cruz, I'm going to be honest. You're too small. The cockpit will eat you alive." She took a breath, steady and measured, the way she practiced whenever someone underestimated her since age 5. "Permission to try anyway, sir." Colburn shook his head. "Permission granted. But don't say I didn't warn you." The first month felt less like training and more like attrition. 10 candidates quit by day 9. 4 washed out academically. 2 fainted during high-G maneuver drills. And every night, instructors whispered that Cruz would be next. In the cockpit trainer, Elena struggled to reach certain controls without straining. She had to angle her wrist awkwardly to reach the engine fire levers. Her feet barely pushed the pedals unless she sat so far forward her knees nearly touched the dash. During the first emergency egress drill, she tripped stepping out and tumbled face-first onto the mat. Laughter filled the room. But she got up, and something began to shift. Her small size turned out to be an advantage during zero-visibility cockpit drills. While bulkier candidates knocked elbows on panels or smacked helmets against the canopy, Elena moved like water, fluid, precise, slipping through the cramped space like it had been designed for her. In the simulator, she wasn't just good, she was surgical. She memorized every weapons page, countermeasure flow, and fire control switch until she could recite them in her sleep. She learned how to operate the TADS targeting system with one hand while flying with the other, and then practiced until she could do both while talking, scanning, and planning simultaneously. Still, Chief Colburn remained unconvinced. "Cruz performs well when she has time to think," he told the instructors. "But combat is chaos. She won't keep up." The first hint he might be wrong came during night NOE training, flying 30 feet above the trees under nothing but starlight and night vision. Trees blurred past. Rivers flashed silver. The horizon vanished into a smear of darkness. Cruz flew like she had been born in it. Her small frame let her pivot inside the cockpit, leaning into turns, adjusting sightlines faster than anyone else. She wasn't muscling the helicopter, she was dancing with it. "She's not fighting the aircraft," one instructor whispered. "She's listening to it." Colburn grunted. "Luck. Let's see her under pressure." Pressure arrived sooner than anyone expected. During weapons qualification, candidates had to complete a high-stress scenario using Hellfires, Hydra rockets, and the 30mm chain gun while flying an unpredictable pop-up engagement profile. Elena's first rocket pass missed. Her second hit the wrong target box. Her score dipped below the passing threshold. Cruz, land. Colburn ordered over the radio, disappointment already thick in his voice. You're done. No, sir, she said. One more pass. You don't get. One more pass. A long silence. Then, fine. Last run. Elena's breathing slowed. The helicopter's vibration traveled through the pedals into her legs, through the cyclic into her fingertips. She felt the machine like it was alive, a beast waiting for direction but capable of turning on her if she hesitated. She didn't. The helicopter surged forward. She banked low over the ridge, popped up behind simulated cover, locked the Hellfire on target in 2 seconds flat, and released. Impact registered. She dove, rolled, and lined up for guns. Her left hand danced over the TDAC controls while her right hand kept the aircraft steady through violent maneuvering. Round after round hit dead center. Then rockets. Perfect ripple. Perfect spacing. Perfect score. She landed to dead silence. Even Colburn couldn't deny it. Cruz, he muttered, staring at the printout, how the hell did you do that? I stopped trying to fly like everyone else. The cockpit fits me differently. So I decided to fly the way I fit. Graduation came with Elena Cruz ranked first overall. This time, no one laughed at her size. They were too busy trying to figure out how someone so small handled the Apache like it was an extension of her nervous system. But her real test came 2 years later in northern Syria. A massive sandstorm rolled over the region, grounding nearly all aircraft. Visibility turned the desert into a swirling orange hellscape. A U.S. reconnaissance team had been ambushed inside a canyon system and was trapped under heavy fire. The storm made GPS unreliable and maps nearly useless. Drones were grounded. Fast movers couldn't see the target. And the nearest Apache team was Elena and her co-pilot, Chief Warrant Officer 2 Harris, a steady, cautious aviator who trusted systems over intuition. Command ordered them to hold position. Cruz didn't. Those soldiers are dying, she said. If we don't go, no one will. Harris hesitated. Cruz, flying into a sandstorm canyon at night without GPS? We won't see the walls until we hit them. I don't need GPS, she replied quietly. I can feel the Apache. Against every regulation, she nosed the helicopter forward, entering the storm, instruments blinking warnings. Sand hammered the canopy like bullets. The canyon walls appeared suddenly through the haze, so close that Harris swore they scraped the tips. Cruz didn't flinch. She twisted in her seat, checking rotor clearance with her own eyes, adjusting in millimeters, something only a pilot of her size could physically do in the narrow cockpit. They descended deeper. Gunfire flashed ahead, like sparks in a furnace. She accelerated. The enemy fighters never expected an attack helicopter to dive through a sandstorm narrower than its own rotor span. Elena unleashed the chain gun with perfect precision, tracking targets by muzzle flash and heat alone. Her rockets detonated in patterns that boxed in the enemy instead of risking friendly fire. In under a minute, the ambush was broken and the wrecking team extracted. When Cruz returned to base, her rotors were caked with sand and her aircraft's maintenance sensors were screaming. Command waited for her, stern and silent. Nobody reprimanded her. The brigade commander spoke first. I watched the gun tape. What you did should have been impossible. You flew an Apache through a canyon narrower than your rotor diameter in a sandstorm. He shook his head in disbelief. How? Elena wiped the dust from her flight suit. Sir, people have been telling me I'm too small to fly Apaches my whole life. Turns out being small lets me see things in the cockpit big pilots can't. I can move faster, twist farther, react quicker. Everyone saw limitations. I saw advantages. The story spread across Army aviation like wildfire. Her sandstorm canyon maneuver became a case study. Pilots debated whether it should even be possible. Engineers wanted to interview her. Trainees whispered her name like a myth. 6 months later, she received the Distinguished Flying Cross. At the ceremony, Chief Colburn, now retired but respected across the aviation world, approached her with a cane in one hand and pride in his eyes. Cruz, he said, extending his hand, I was wrong. I thought your size would get you killed. Instead, it's what made you extraordinary. He shook his head, half amused, half humbled. I spent 20 years teaching pilots to make the Apache adapt to them. You you adapted to the Apache. Elena smiled. Sir, you didn't stop me. That's what matters. You gave me the chance. You earned everything after that. Today, Elena Cruz stands in front of new apprentice pilots at Fort Rucker. She doesn't shout. She doesn't posture. She simply tells the truth. If someone tells you that you're built wrong for the Apache, she says, her voice calm and certain, don't argue. Thank them. And then train so hard they spend the rest of their life wishing they hadn't underestimated you. And every student, big or small, confident or unsure, leans forward just a little, because they know they're hearing the story not of a pilot who fit the mold, but of one who shattered it without ever raising her voice. If you'd like, I can make. The years after the Sandstorm mission passed quickly for Elena, though she hardly noticed. She was too busy training new pilots, flying test flights for upgraded Apache systems, and earning a reputation as the instructor whose standards nobody could meet on the first try, but everyone desperately wanted to. She didn't raise her voice or intimidate anyone. She simply expected excellence, and somehow, her students rose to meet it. One quiet evening after a long training cycle, Elena stepped onto the flight line alone. The sun was dropping behind the tree line, painting the rows of Apaches gold. She ran her fingertips along the nose of the aircraft assigned to her, the same one she had flown during her deployment. The same one she had threaded through a canyon inside a sandstorm. It had scars now, tiny pits from sand, faint scratches from debris, a replaced panel or two, but it stood like an old friend waiting patiently for conversation. Behind her, she heard footsteps. Slow. Familiar. Chief Colburn, older now, leaning a little heavier on his cane each year, walked until he was beside her. Thought I'd find you out here, he said. You always come to the flight line when you're thinking too much. She gave a soft smile. Didn't realize I was that predictable. You're not. But real pilots, when something's weighing on them, they go to the machine. It listens better than people do. They stood in silence for a moment, watching the sky darken. Finally, he asked, what's next for you, Cruz? I've seen instructors stay here for 20 years. I've seen them go special missions, test pilot school, command tracks. But you don't strike me as someone who stops moving. She let out a slow breath. I got an offer, she said. Experimental aviation. New rotorcraft, new systems. They want someone who can fly in the margins. Someone who sees the cockpit differently. She hesitated. It would mean leaving Fort Rucker. Colburn nodded. And you're wondering if leaving is the right thing. Elena didn't answer immediately. She looked at the rows of Apaches, at the faint reflection of herself in the canopy, small, quiet, determined, the same girl who was told she didn't belong. I came here to prove I could do this, she said softly. Now I'm not trying to prove anything. I just want to see how far I can go. Colburn smiled, the rare, genuine kind he gave only to pilots who earned it. Then go. Push the edge. Break the rules. Fly the things the rest of us are too scared to. She turned to him. You think I'm ready? I think, he said, tapping the Apache's armor plating, that we reached the limit long before you did. The wind shifted, carrying the faint smell of jet fuel, and somewhere on the far end of the field, another helicopter started up for night training. The rotors spun slowly at first, then faster, building into a steady heartbeat that Elena felt in her chest. She looked toward the noise. Her future. Her next challenge. The next boundary to push. Sir, she said quietly, thank you. For doubting me. For pushing me. For seeing me when I didn't look like a pilot. Colburn shook his head. I didn't see you at first. But the moment you started flying, the entire army did. We're just lucky you decided to fly for us and not against us. She laughed, a rare sound for her, light and genuine. As the sun finally dropped and the field lights flickered on, Elena Cruz took one last look at the Apache that shaped her, at the man who doubted her then championed her, at the place where she became not just a pilot, but something more. Then she turned toward the future, toward new aircraft, new challenges, new skies, and walked forward without hesitation, carrying with her the quiet certainty that she would never again need to fit a mold someone else built. Because she had already built her own.